Hi, I'm Deborah.
And I'm Lawrence.
And in this video, we're going to talk about, is the first of a series of videos we're going to do about service dogs for anxiety.
And obviously, we don't have a service dog, so, we may not have the best perspective on this, but we are doing our research and all of that.
And actually, the reason that I started getting interested in this mainly was because a friend of mine has a daughter who has an anxiety disorder, and so she started training a service dog herself. So we're actually going to do an interview with her and ask her some questions that people might be interested in, because she's been through this whole process now, and it's working out really, really well with her service dog. So one reason we decided to do these videos now is because, first of all, service dogs, if you're going to just get one from I guess it's actually from an organization or from a certified trainer, they're pretty expensive because they've had about 600 hours of training. So, and
that's 100 times the amount of training I had to get for drivers' ed. Jesus.
And they've been boarded, they've been fed, they've been groomed. So it can be upwards of tens of thousands of dollars, up to even $50,000. So for most people, that is not possible. I mean, it would be great, but for most people, it isn't. There are certain circumstances.
Capitalism.
Yeah. There are certain circumstances under which you could get financial assistance, but let me just say right now that it's not something you should count on. So so the reason, as I said, that we got interested in this was because this is actually the perfect time if someone's going to train their own service dog to do so, because most people, because of COVID, are actually at home much more so than they usually would be. So it's not necessarily more free time, it's just more time at home. So there are certain tasks, for instance, and this is just, I'm just scratching the surface, but so certain tasks that a service dog can do, and I'm saying service dog, even though technically it's service animal, because miniature horses are actually also included.
Why? Honestly.
I don't know why, but I mean, probably because their ability to learn these tasks.
Miniature horses, though,
and it may also be because of their nature being calmer than some other animals. Obviously there's a limited, service cat. Can you imagine trying to get a cat to do something that they weren't interested in doing at that moment?
Fair.
Not going to happen. They're smart enough, but they definitely are less interested in pleasing people.
I wonder if anybody has tried.
I don't know, but I mean, really, just think about the last time you saw a cat on a leash. How well does that go? But anyway, so as I said, technically, the government does recognize miniature horses, so that's why the category is service animals. But still, I don't know
why.
You're still talking about pretty large animals, so I'm not sure if it's a good idea.
No.
Anyway, so there are certain tasks. Now I've kind of lost the thread of what I was saying because I went off into that.
Yeah.
But I believe what I was saying is there are certain tasks that a service, I'm just going to say a service dog for the sake of simplicity, can do for a person who has anxiety. So one thing, for instance, is if the person starts getting anxious and they're trained to recognize the signs, if it looks like they're getting anxious and possibly going to go into an anxiety panic attack, is there are certain ways they can calm them down, either by licking their face or doing pressure therapy on them. Then
what exactly is that?
So basically, that's when the dog lies on them. It's depending on what position they're in. So the dog might lie across their lap. If they're laying down, the dog is going to lay across them in certain ways. So it's like literally.
Yeah, that did calm me down.
So like a weighted blanket. It's like having a weighted blanket, which is supposed to be very calming. We still haven't got around to getting one to see, but my guess is that
one day.
One day. But
when I have money.
Yeah. So Honestly, I think because I'm claustrophobic, I think pressure blanket, weighted blanket would not work for me. I think it actually would start freaking me out more than anything.
I would probably like it.
Yeah.
I like small spaces.
It depends. See, I get claustrophobic. So, but obviously for a lot of people, then, so the pressure therapy works to help calm people down. So a service dog can also prevent someone from harming themselves during an anxiety attack, can prevent strangers from approaching them during an anxiety attack.
Because that's the last thing you want.
Yeah. And, they also can get their medication. Service dogs can also do what's called crowd control or body blocks. So, for instance, if you are uncomfortable when people are near you or invading your personal space, let's say you're waiting in line or something, the dog can be trained to insert themselves in between you and the person. So that's giving you some space. Or
people have a dog for that. I just barrel into people.
Well, you glare at people?
No, I just run them down like a football tackle. You mean if they're
crowding you?
Yes.
Oh.
Just run them down like I'm playing football.
I get uncomfortable when people I don't know invade my personal space. Yeah. But they can also, for instance, then put themselves in front of you. So normally, like with a body block, they're like parallel.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it like right. So they're you're standing like this.
Just use fingers.
And they're either in front of, or behind you, with their head here and their tail here. So they have the maximum amount of space in front of you. They also can be trained to sit in front of you and look forward. So then that will discourage anyone even more so from getting too close to you. One thing to know is there's one kind of anxiety disorder that would be probably for most people completely incompatible with having a service dog, and that's social anxiety. Now, even though there are obviously some ways in which a service dog could help with someone with social anxiety, especially with the body blocks, the crowd control, the problem is
service dogs attract attention.
If you have a service dog, you're going to get multiple times the amount of attention you normally do. So if you have social anxiety, what you have to ask yourself is...
I mean, you got a cool dog.
Well, any kind of dog. And people are always curious about them. People will come and... Some people will touch them without asking. There will be obviously a lot of kids.
Those people are bad. I do not like those people.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you're pregnant and people touch your stomach when you absolutely don't know who they are. But that's the way some people are like that. So there are people who constantly, some people will ask, but remember, if you have social anxiety disorder, they're still approaching you.
If you're like that and you don't ask, I don't like you as a person.
So just remember that while a service dog will be able to help you in a lot of ways, you will attract a lot more attention than you normally get, and so you have to weigh the two things yourself. What I would suggest in that case is there are lots of videos on YouTube that are people's vlogs about their day with a service dog. And if you look at that, you will see for some of them how many times they're approached. And you just have to ask yourself,
are you okay with that?
Would it be worth it to me? So will the benefits outweigh the negatives? This is not something you just jump into, okay, for a lot of different reasons. We're going to go into exactly what things to consider, in probably the next video. But just for instance, this is you're looking at definitely a financial investment, because even if you train the dog yourself, you really need to use a certified trainer to help you. You also, remember, are going to have vet bills, dog food costs, all kinds of costs that you didn't have before. And you're making a commitment, a financial commitment. Can you do this for the next 12, 15, however many years? Can you afford it? So can you afford essentially the startup costs of training the dog? And are you going to have a stable, source of income that you can always support the dog? The other thing is that this is not a one and done thing with the training. Once they're trained, you still have to keep training them. And even if you get a dog that has been trained, they're essentially 80% trained. You still have to do some training with them, because remember, they're going to be your dog. They're not going to be the trainer's dog. So there's a certain amount of training that you're going to have to do with a dog, even if you're getting one from a trainer. So you have to ask yourself about your commitment, about your persistence. If you're the kind of person who gets interested in projects and then loses interest, this might not be for you. How much initiative do you have? Are you willing to spend, a certain amount out of every day doing this? So, as I said, we're going to get in a future video into all the different things to consider. But this is definitely not the kind of thing where you just, you say, that's what I want to do. And, you call up, you go to the pound and say, oh, that looks like a good one. And I'm ready to start now. This is actually, I saw a video in which a woman said basically she is a service dog. And I mean, I'm going to put a link to it in the bottom, because basically it sounded like she was saying there was just like a 1% chance that you should do this. I mean, she was very serious about the fact that this is not something to be taken lightly. And, the other thing to consider is that sometimes service dogs wash out. So if you do all this training and the dog just isn't, it just doesn't work out, there are several different reasons, but, sometimes the dog just is not able to, be trained. What are you going to do then? If you have the commitment to get another service dog, what are you going to do with this dog? So there are so many different things to consider that we'll go over, but, if this sounds like something you're interested in, please watch, the next, we're going to do probably a minimum of 3 more videos, and we are going to do an interview with my friend's daughter, my friend and my friend's daughter, and we're going to ask them different questions that we know people who are interested in having a service dog for anxiety would want to know. So if you have any questions that you want us to ask her, please leave them in the comments, and we'll definitely consider them when we're doing the interview with her. So.
Anyways, I'd like to remind you that we do in fact have a Discord server, just a place to come and talk to people who are, going through similar things, and, maybe get some support there yourself. Obviously, it's not actual therapy, but, sometimes it's good to talk to people who know what you're going through. Excuse me. Anyways, we hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. Say anything you'd like in the form of a comment, and if you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. But in any case, we hope that you have a nice day.
Take care.